All right. So every year, over 400,000 Nigerian graduates put on their iconic green khaki uniform and raise their hands to swear a oath of national service. It's a rite of passage that has bound generations of young Nigerians together. It's a major milestone, an inevitable process, and some would even consider it a thing of pride. But today, as we face a major youth unemployment crisis, insecurity, widening skill gap, and an economy that is so desperate for industrial growth, we have to ask ourselves a painful question. Is this massive national apparatus actually serving our future? Right now, the prevailing narrative is that the NYSC program is broken beyond repair. Some people have even suggested that it should be scrapped entirely. The argument is that the scheme has become a bloated expense department, riddled by corruption and constantly draining billions from the national budget just to function as an administrative waiting room for graduates. But what if the problem isn't the extent of the program itself? What if the problem is that we are using a 20th century national healing tool to solve for 21st century realities? Welcome to It's Not Rocket Science, where we'll take a closer look at some of Nigerians' biggest problems and propose practical ways to actually solve them. Today, we are talking about transforming the mandatory service year into an industrial juggernaut.
It has been generally accepted that if Nigeria is to make rapid progress on all fronts internally, and if she is to make her mark on the continent of Africa, and indeed in the Committee of Nations, then her youth must be fully mobilized and be prepared to offer willingly and without asking for rewards in return, their best in the service of their nation at all times. The establishment of the National Youth Service Corps is the first step towards the realization of this lofty goal.
To understand why the system feels so disconnected from today's reality, we have to look back to 1973. Nigeria was just emerging from a devastating 30-month civil war that left the country deeply fractured. The intent behind creating the scheme was beautiful and urgent. It was about national integration. The goal was to heal the wounds of war by promoting cross-migration while also creating a deep sense of nationalism. The Nigeria government believed that taking a Yoruba boy from Ibadan and dropping him in Zamfara, or sending an Igbo girl from Abia State to spend a year in Lagos would help foster unity and break down ethnic biases. But here's the catch. Nigeria of 1973 had a critical shortage of graduates and a massive surplus of formal jobs. Back then, the economy was expanding so much that multinational companies would literally wait at the orientation camp gates with employment letters in hand. The system worked perfectly because the labor market was in desperate need of graduates with a degree. Fast forward to today and the landscape has completely changed. We no longer have a shortage of graduates, we have an explosion of them. Meanwhile, the formal job market has shrunk and corporate Nigeria constantly complains that degrees that we study in Nigeria University are overly theoretical, leaving graduates with no practical, digital or vocational skill needed to thrive in a modern economy. Because the structure remained frozen while the economy changed, the service year mutated. It stopped being a launchpad for careers and became a one-year pause button on adulthood. We began dumping thousands of young brains into a system that wasn't ready for them. They spent 3 weeks marching in the sun, and they spent the next 1 year sitting in a local government office typing 2 letters a week, or get sent to a rural school as accidental teachers, all while waiting to join a job market that doesn't have space for them. Even the government has recently admitted that the status quo is unsustainable. They recently introduced historic overhauls to split camps into phases and create specialized streams. I admit that I personally love the changes, but I think that we can do better. A slightly optimized civil service program isn't going to fix a massive industrial deficit. We need to go much further. Right now, the NYSC is really just an expensive social welfare program. We pour billions into feeding allowance payments and maintaining camps, getting very little economic return. What if we completely flip the script? What if the NYSC stopped operating as a slow civil service agency and started operating like a massive state-backed multinational corporation? So here's my proposal: NYSC Holdings. Instead of deploying graduates as cheap accidental interns to places where they serve as placeholder staff, the NYSC could become Nigeria's largest, most diversified multi-sector conglomerate, powered entirely by the nation's brightest mind. We don't need to scrap the NYSC. We can use its mandatory structure to forcefully drive local manufacturing, food security, and infrastructure development. The new NYSC Holdings will have 4 parts, 3 industrial wings and 1 social service wing. Under the NYSC holdings I'm proposing, graduates who study science, engineering, agric, and vocational courses will no longer be deployed randomly. They will be deployed directly into 3 commercial sectors run by the scheme itself. First one, NYSC Agro Industries. Right now, the agriculture graduates can spend 4 years learning a course like crop science, only to end up teaching biology in a secondary school in the village. That's like training a pilot and then getting them posted to LASMA. Instead, every agriculture, animal science, food science, and agronomy graduate can get deployed directly into large-scale commercial farm settlements and agro-industrial processing centers. And relax, I'm not talking about handing graduates cutlasses and hoes. I'm talking about modern agriculture. I'm talking about GPS-guided tractors, automated irrigation system, processing plants, the works. Imagine spending your service there processing cocoa into cocoa butter instead of exporting raw beans, or turning cassava into industrial starch instead of watching another country do it and sell it back to us at 5 times the price. Now, NYSC isn't just paying allowances, it is producing wealth. The second one, we can have NYSC Infra Build. Nigeria currently has a massive infrastructure deficit. Every year, the government at all levels spend billions hiring foreign contractors to build local roads, schools, and clinics. So here's the question. Why aren't we using the thousands of graduate engineers, architects, and surveyors we already gather every year? NYSC InfraBuild can become a licensed engineering company supervised by experienced current engineers while the corp members become the workforce. Suddenly, as your service year isn't spent buying bread and beans for your supervisor, you are actually on a construction site learning how projects are built. The third one is NYSC Manufacturing. Every year we complain that Nigeria imports too much, then we continue importing pretty much everything. So why not create a dedicated manufacturing hub under the NYSC? Science and engineering corp members can be deployed to assembly plants. Imagine buying products that are actually made here in Nigeria thanks to the NYSC. The service becomes a primary domestic supplier for both personal and institutional need. It will cut down on our foreign exchange demand and help build local industrial capacity. Now, I know what you are thinking. What happens to the graduates who are in it for the farms, factory, or construction sites? We can't exactly put a neurosurgeon on a tractor or ask a lawyer to mix cement on an NYSC construction site. These people can form what I call our public utility corps. Instead of letting them rust in underfunded government offices or being used as cheap labor by private organizations, we can optimize their deployment to add immense value to their professional careers and the communities that they serve. Under this, we'll have some subsectors. First one is the education track. Currently, corps are traditionally jumped into rural schools and with zero teaching skills. Public utility corps can partner with top-tier educational platforms to give these corps intensive training during orientation. They can be deployed as modern education officers. Their job is to teach core subjects while setting up projects like digital learning hubs in community schools. This plan will help upgrade our education infrastructure while allowing corps to build their project management portfolios. You can also have the medical track. Young doctors and nurses are often overworked in general hospitals, but they can be put to better use in our primary health centers, which are in their need of support, by the way. They can get hands-on clinical experience while learning how to manage modern health systems and rural health administration. Furthermore, the corporate entity operated by the NYSC can run its own mobile clinics that bid for corporate social responsibility projects from major telecom or oil companies to deliver healthcare to remote areas. And finally, we have the legal track. Instead of young lawyers spending a year running errands or doing clerical paperwork for senior partners, you can join the NYSC public advocacy firm. Half of them can be attached directly to state mobile courts to prosecute commercial contract breaches, sanitation, road traffic offences, and other simple cases. The other half can provide pro bono legal services and community mediation for low-income citizens under the supervision of senior legal advisors. They exit a service year with intense daily courtroom experience. But wait, someone can argue that government is already struggling to pay the basic monthly allowance. How on earth do we fund specialized industrial training factories and tech equipment? The math is actually quite simple, and it relies on a shared cost commercial model. The federal government can keep paying the baseline allowance like they are currently doing. However, because NYSC Holdings operate as a commercial entity that bids for contracts, sells processed agricultural products, and manufacturing components, it generates its own revenue. Also, any private company or state agency that wants to employ a highly trained member of the tech, infrastructure, or medical corps can contribute a baseline allowance into a central skill fund. This corporate premium makes the scheme entirely self-funding, covering the cost of advanced training and equipment while allowing NYSC Holding to pay its staff and corp members sizable performance bonuses. The fact is, Nigeria is currently facing massive youth unemployment and industrialization challenges. Those problems won't magically disappear, and scrapping a historical institution like the NYSC won't benefit anyone. We already have a mandatory structure that commands 400,000 educated brains every single year. The Federal Executive Council has already started talking about reforming the NYSC into specialized streams. But let's take it all the way. Let's stop treating our graduates like temporary office assistants. Let's start treating them like the actual founders and builders of our industrial future. We must stop looking at the NYSC like a gap year that is just there to pass the time. Instead, we must start looking at it as a launch pad for nation building. So what can you do? If you love the plans that I've just highlighted in this video, you can share it on your social media pages and help drive the conversation. Maybe someone in position to make the right decision may actually look into it. At the end of the day, repositioning the NYSC isn't as difficult as it seems. When you look at the economics, consider the law, and look at the sheer human potential, you realize it's not rocket science. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.